Hello, sir.
Hello, what are you doing?
Not much. What are you doing? Just hanging out in the closet.
Yeah, me as well. Me as well.
I was cold, freezing, but now I'm warm.
Well, it's because we're in a room that's barely big enough for the two of us, and you're wearing like 17 layers.
True. And surrounded by like heavy moving blankets.
What else is going on?
Our daughter graduated.
She sure did.
Mm-hmm.
She sure did. And
Just settled a little bit from it. It was a fun night.
their grad was way fancier than my grad.
Was it?
But then I also looked at my grade 6 yearbook when I graduated from the illustrious Silver Springs Elementary. It was trash. Like, it was of such low quality.
Oh, yeah.
Like, every picture was photocopied.
Yeah, mine too.
And you couldn't tell really who the person is.
Mine was a 5x7 book.
Oh, no, ours was a full.
Oh, yeah. No, mine was a 5x7 little photocopied book, maybe like 10 pages.
Interesting.
Stapled
Mine has a
together.
custom cover on it that I drew. And I don't know if I drew it and they used it for all of the yearbooks or just we all had our own.
We had a contest in grade 7 for the front, and I won it. So my thing is on the front of my grade 7.
Do you know what I said I was going to be when I grew up?
What?
A writer or a cartoonist.
Ooh.
I am neither.
But kind of are.
No. Kind of how?
Well,
What have I written?
You've written a couple books now. You've not done anything with them, but you have.
Yes.
And you talk about them.
I don't talk about
like publishing them.
Oh. Make me sound like a guy at a party talking about the book I'm working on.
And you drew cartoons of us as a family. If we make you draw, you'll sit but yeah, you're not a cartoonist.
I don't.
I know you don't do it for work, but
yeah. It was just
still
interesting.
good.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe start sketching away.
What did you think? So that was when you were itty bitty.
I was 6, yeah. Well, grade 6, yeah.
What did you think you were going to be like grade 12?
Right up until I had to do high school math, it shifted to architecture. And then I started doing math. I'm like, no, that was it.
That's one of the most stressful jobs in dentistry.
But I loved it. I love architecture. I love looking at that sort of stuff.
You just have a drafting table.
Yeah.
And 2 drafting tables because I bought you another one.
You did. But then, yeah, like I said, nope. Was the path for me. I decided that aimlessly drifting was the career choice of mine.
And then I know, like, when we were in our 20s, you promised me millions. We'd be millionaires and I could retire at 35.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're bringing that up a lot lately. Thank you.
Didn't happen.
Nope. Nope, it didn't. But I drove you past multi-million-dollar houses today, so that's kind of the same thing.
That's true.
Yeah.
So what, was there more about your
No, it was just funny to read. It's especially funny to see some of the guys that I still know and their little pictures in there.
Oh, I don't know anybody.
Wade Grant is in it.
I know Wade.
You do. You should see it. He was a cutie patootie back in the day.
I didn't meet him until we were in our 20s, but
yeah, that ship had sailed by then.
He's a cutie patootie.
The old SS cuteness was long a sea by the time you met him. Would you like to dive into my topic today?
Yes.
So I read an article, and I'm going to read you the headline of the article, and then I'll get your thoughts on it. And I will try my best to pepper you with parts from the article to spur things on.
All right.
Is it wrong in your... Yes. Okay. Thanks for coming to our TED Talk, everybody. Is it wrong to tell kids to apologize?
It depends.
Oh, I love it already. You're already taking both sides.
Okay, is there more context?
I'll give you the byline.
Okay.
Some parents argue that forcing children to say they're sorry is useless or even harmful. However, the reality is more nuanced, according to Stephanie H. Murray.
Okay, so for me, it depends. Actually, I just did a whole series on bullying. I went to Minnesota to record some videos on this topic for bullying.
Yeah.
I would never...
And they forcibly made you say words wrong in that video, but continue.
Yes, they did. Yeah. Didn't make sense,
No.
But I did the American way.
It wasn't even an American way. Don't give them the benefit. They were mispronouncing those words on any continent.
Well, it was tenses. They were telling me to say past tense when past tense did not make any sense at all. Anyways, we won't get into that. It depends. Saying like in the bullying context, I would never expect kids. I am all for retribution, making amends.
Okay.
But not when it's with another kid. Okay. So if, yeah, there's bullying happening or whatever, I wouldn't expect two kids to apologize to each other.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Why?
Because there could be a lot of shaming, there could be a lot of backlashing, there could be a lot of, even like the one bully, if they felt shamed or embarrassed being forced to, it could backlash even further on the other poor kid, right? Like there's so many pieces that could go sideways. So I would never force it upon other kids. I would never force it if the kid never felt heard and just like their justification and their side of the story. Because oftentimes that happens where kids are forced to apologize, but nobody listened to them and they feel like they were justified, right? And I see that all the time where it's a kid who's forced to apologize to maybe a teacher that they swore to, but that teacher was being a jerk to them, right? And there's no, so I guess that's even outside out of the kids. But there's lots of different reasons. With the kids, it could go sideways. There's lots of different reasons it could go sideways in any point, especially if the child was never heard, their perspective was never taken, and they just feel more ashamed and vulnerable. I would, in the, let's say a kid pulls a fire alarm. I would want them to go to the fire station and apologize. Right. But there would be some teaching there. I would make sure that they feel heard and understood and all of those pieces. But then being able to talk about, look, what would happen if there was another fire just down the street? Now all those firemen are caught up at the school because there's all these children that they need to come and, protect. We need to make this right. Right. So in those cases, absolutely, I would. I had another point in there, but I've lost it in terms of, yeah. But there's no point doing it if we're forcing them. We can still get the buy-in. I would focus on that piece first.
Yeah. So those are all points that are raised in the article. Is that those that are against it touch on the shame piece, right? And it's a not weaponized isn't the right word, but it's used against the child as a way to make them feel shame and force them, to do something that they're truly not remorseful for.
Shame is a good thing, though, in terms of when we aren't shaming them, but they feel shame.
But that was the difference. They were saying that if it was us shaming them into doing it, is not the same as making sure that they feel remorse and that's why they're doing it. The one point that they did raise, which I thought was interesting, though, is that by doing this, those that are for it in certain circumstances or all the time, cited as there's a research, and I'll make sure that the article is posted so everybody else can read it if they want, but that essentially by the act of having them do it, you're teaching them how to actually apologize, because there's studies basically that are coming out now saying kids don't know how to apologize and they don't know how to take accountability. And we've seen it. We just talked about it the other day, right? We live in an era of, no, it's not my fault. I'm entitled to do this and do it. So there is no real apology, right? There is no introspection on your actions and the effect it has on others. And we're seeing the outcome of that. So the people that are big proponents of it are exactly right. You need to understand all these other pieces, but the act of doing it gives the kids both the person apologizing and the person being apologized to, they understand the process and the interaction piece of it as well as those kids in the study that even if they felt that it wasn't genuine, those kids that were apologized to felt it was better than nothing, which I thought was interesting. So for the recipient, they knew the kid wasn't really believing it, but they're like, but at least he said he's sorry, or at least they said it, or at least it's something. So I thought that was interesting because, yeah, I think I can see why they call it a more nuanced conversation because there's different parts to it as well. But I thought it was very interesting.
Okay, so I wouldn't want them to say sorry. So just to go back, like to this piece, like with another kid, but I would want them to show words are pretty empty and meaningless and don't mean a lot, right? It's just like we could say, I'm sorry, or I love you, but it's through actions, right?
Yeah, and I say that to the girls all the time. I'm sorry. Don't say you're sorry. Just don't do it again. Right. I don't want you to apologize for not doing the dishes. But let's keep going.
Yeah. So there was a camp. I can't remember. I think it was for the Vietnam War. I can't remember if it was Vietnam or maybe it was Afghanistan or something. It was something. But years later, they brought together soldiers who, let's say, threw grenades into, it was something. It was some big thing. I can't remember what it was. But anyway, you get the drift. So soldiers who followed orders and bombed or threw grenades or whatever into a village with innocent people. And they brought victims, and a lot of them were kids. A lot of them would have lost arms or legs. And then the soldiers together. And I can't remember what they were doing, but it was like a camp. And I just remember one story. I'll try not to cry, but I remember one story where they had to go like across a little stream or river. And there was a woman who had lost her legs who couldn't make it. I'm gonna cry. But one of the soldiers picked her up and carried her. And he was responsible for, if not her accident, it was like within around the same time and around the same place. I'm sorry. And that is meaningful, right? Like that, there was so much healing on both sides. Because a lot of times, when we look at even like bullying stuff, I mean, a lot of them don't actually know. Like I look back, I was a bully. If I look back at my behaviors as a kid in elementary school, not so much as I got older, but especially in what?
Oh, you just bullied me yesterday.
Okay, well, that's different. But in elementary, like I was a bully, but if I look back and it doesn't fit the classic definition of bullying, which is power imbalance. Maybe there was a power imbalance, but with the intent to harm, I never had an intent to harm. I never would have, if someone said you're being a bully, I would have stopped dead in my tracks. I just was thinking like, this would be really funny. What would happen? Because I'm a prankster, right? And I remember this one girl telling her that she was going to blow away, but she was twice my size, right? But I told her she was going to blow, and I convinced her she was going to blow away. And she stood holding onto a fence for like, but it wasn't because I was trying to be mean. It's just like, it was really,
that's hilarious,
funny and pranky. And like, I do that still with my kids. I
sure do.
I tell them stuff, right? But so I would be mortified. And of course I would say sorry, but a lot of times these kids are defending themselves or defending something that's important to them, and that's disregarded. So apologizing is good so long as their perspective is also heard and understood, because otherwise we're always making them the aggressor and apologizing. We're always making the other one a victim too. And I know we've talked about this as well. So so for me, like it wouldn't be even just looking at siblings, right? Like I'm just thinking of a family that I work with right now. The sibling rivalry can be really bad. And they're always forcing the one sibling to apologize to the other, even though the other's kind of pushing buttons. And that's the other thing, right? Like it's always that. So the one sibling is always the aggressor. The other one's always the victim. And they're playing those roles. For me, and it doesn't mean anything because they're just going to do it again. And the other one knows that it's not real, right? And so, but one of the most powerful things that we did instead of words of apology, the one sibling had destroyed something that their sister had made. And they went back, and it took them a little while, but they rebuilt it. They recreated it.
Oh, wow.
Like tried gluing it together and taping it together. And that was so meaningful, right? That was so meaningful. And then even if the other sibling didn't mean it, like even if they just, fine, I'll put it back together.
Yeah.
No words are needed, right? Just the act of doing it, even if the intention wasn't necessarily there, but the other sibling meant so much to them, right? And then there is no fake words that come across.
Right.
They just saw that act. And even if the others, I'm trying not to say one of them's for sure girl, but I'm trying not to say genders or anything. But even if the other sibling saw and they did see the sister just like well up and like, oh my gosh, that was so thoughtful, they felt better.
Right.
Even if they weren't feeling better putting the thing back together,
Yeah.
they actually felt that softness and like the kindness and what their kindness had done. So for me, it's more like that than just rushing immediately to say sorry.
Yeah, and I think you're right. The taking them through the process of understanding why they did it, but then understanding the outcomes that they've created, you can then steer them towards a more, whether it's an apology or an act, right? If you can get them to the point that they understand both sides of it and feel like they at least understand it, I get that makes sense for sure.
I think having a conversation about this is the situation, how do we fix it, right? Like them being involved in that conversation is way more effective, especially if we're talking about taking accountability for our actions.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like I think that we have to have a conversation. It's not just dragging them over to the other kid and
or helicoptering in the moment, say sorry without understanding everything that's going on. Because we've talked about that before, right? We've had situations where Willow, for all intents and purposes, wasn't doing anything, but this kid picked on her, right? And one of them dislocated her ribs, right? It was severe. And she was made to feel like she had to apologize to them for whatever for whatever reason. And it comes down again to, in that situation, it was more the school just didn't want to get in trouble for anything. But you're right. She never felt like anybody understood why, right? And it completely diminished the fact that she got hurt when she was told that she too had to be punished in some facet for being hit, right? It's such a weird approach to it.
Well, even at that parent-teacher interviews, we didn't know exactly what the situation was. She was gone, hadn't come to school, and the teacher was like, "Oh, is Willow here? I got to figure out," because the boy was, came to me quite upset based on something that she said. And I bet if she was at school that day, I bet the teacher would have made her apologize. Mm-hmm. But then hearing the story, she was actually defending one of her friends, right? But that's not what we miss the whole picture, right? And it's about how can we move forward from here together, and not, it's not about placing blame, right? Like it's about saying I'm angry. Like we're so quick to blame. I'm angry because you did this, right? We're immediately just detracting, and it's just going to create defensiveness everywhere, and it's never going to mean anything. But I could say, I am really angry and this is what I need.
Right.
That would be way more helpful, right? And then it's like, okay.
Yeah.
And then our listening ears are going to be on, our listening brains are going to be on, and we can start taking accountability that way. There's so much I want to say, but I think the forcing is what I have a problem with, right? It's not going to teach accountability. It's going to be counterproductive. It's going to do the exact opposite.
Yeah, it teaches subservience and resentment. Right? Yeah, 100%.
And we got to model it too. I think that's the other thing.
Kids have to be wrong at something first.
Kids are always having to say sorry and take accountability, but what about the adults in their lives too, right? Like I think there's so many precursor steps to it. I do think it's valuable. I do think it's important. I do think they have to take accountability. We talk about this all the time, but there's a lot of other pieces too. If we really want them to truly learn from their behaviors and take that accountability.
Well, and you raise a good point, right? Like if you're a parent and you're going on 2 decades of having kids and you've never once been wrong, maybe it's time to take a closer look and realize that you're not perfect, right? And there's an opportunity to teach your kids that perfection isn't the goal and blind obedience isn't the goal, like some parents approach it as. Yeah, you want them to be respectful and you want them to listen and you want them to do what they need to do, but there's a way to approach that and there's a way not. And anyone that defaults to the because I'm the parent as their rationale is most likely missing some steps. Right.
Yeah. And, you know, I always say, and this is true, like I'm an expert in this stuff, but I apologize almost daily because I do make a mistake and I do mess up.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah. And I think that that's just good modeling too.
Cool.
Was there anything else in the
No,
article?
you surprisingly hit everything in your little think through of it. Like I didn't have to prompt you at any part.
Okay.
It does come down to both sides essentially are no, kids need to apologize just to apologize. Like they need to understand how that it's up to them to apologize. And the other one is more what we've talked through, which is no, there's a give and take to it, right? Like yes, understanding the act and the importance of being able to genuinely apologize is important, but certain criteria need to be met before that actually happens. And you kind of just nailed it. So it really could have been your article.
And I would say too, like, what is it the other person needs too, right? Like the person who was the victim, let's just say, right?
Yeah.
Is that actually, because for some of them, they don't even want, like, just stop, right? Like, just, I don't want any more attention. I don't, like, they might be more traumatized too, really, at the end of the day.
Because that has to admit that they were the victim in this instance when there's a chance that the incident started from a completely different power dynamic, right?
Or something. Yeah. Like they just don't want any more attention, or it wasn't as big of a deal that other people. So I see that a lot too. It's not even as big of a deal as, you know, somebody thinks that it is.
Yeah.
Or they didn't even know, right? I get the lesson to be taught to the perpetrator, for lack of a better word, but anyway.
Cool. Well done. It's like you're a pro at this.
Maybe I've read something on this once before.
Once or twice. All right.
Talk to you later.